Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the first segment, we were talking about Pat McAfee, Stephen A. Smith, Monica McNutt, all having conversations about Caitlin Clark and things that happened this week, and there was a bit of drama. As we move into this next segment, I do want to remind you that we get a lot of questions and comments throughout the show. If you would like to go to GSMCPodcast.net, you can leave a tip or a donation that will ensure that we see your questions and comments, and we would love to engage with those. So go to GSMCPodcast.net. You can leave a question or comment. Moving into our next segment, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who are preparing for a significant shift in their running game strategy this season, opting for a running back by committee approach. Head coach Mike McCarthy announced that the team has yet to finalize which backs will share the workload, but it will likely include veteran Ezekiel Elliott, who rejoined the team after a stint with the New England Patriots. Other contenders include Rico Dowdle, Royce Freeman, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Luepke, Malik Davis, Snoop Connor, and Nathaniel Pete. McCarthy emphasized the importance of managing the wear and tear on running backs in the current 17-game NFL season. This caution reflects the broader trend in the league, where even top rushers like Derrick Henry are seeing fewer carries compared to previous seasons. The Cowboys have a storied history of standout running backs, from Hall of Famers Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett to more recent stars like DeMarco Murray and Tony Pollard. However, the upcoming season marks a departure from their traditional approach of featuring a single dominant back. McCarthy's strategy could see 2 or 3 running backs sharing the load, a system the Cowboys haven't consistently used since the early 1980s. Elliott, with his impressive career credentials, is expected to lead the group, but not dominate as he once did. Last season, he shared duties with Ramondre Stevenson in New England, posting career lows in carries and yards. He remains motivated to prove he can still be a dominant force. Dowdle, who had a breakout season in 2023, is another key player, though his career has been hampered by injuries. Freeman, who joined the Los Angeles Rams, brings experience but hasn't surpassed 500 yards. He joined from the Los Angeles Rams, He brings experience but hasn't surpassed 500 yards since his rookie year. Vaughn, a small yet versatile running back, adds a wildcard element with his ability to play both running back and wide receiver. Offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer highlighted the importance of versatility and unpredictability in this committee approach. He noted that each back must be capable of performing various roles to keep defenses guessing. Schottenheimer's experience with similar systems in New York and Seattle adds credibility to this strategy. As the Cowboys transition to this new approach, much will depend on how well the backs adapt to their roles and how effectively the coaching staff can balance their usage. The team's success in the upcoming season will hinge on the execution of this running back committee, a significant departure from the days of workhorse backs like Smith and Elliott. So Tate, give us your thoughts on what you think of running back by committee.
This is a smart decision. You don't have a premier running back. You have a running back that has a good name, as in, Ezekiel Elliott, but you don't have a Derrick Henry. You don't have a Christian McCaffrey. But what you can do is, to maximize results, is to have a stable of running backs. And this is what I think is incredibly smart to do, is to run with a series of running backs that are always going to be fresh, putting fresh bodies and fresh legs out there consistently on a regular basis. New England was very famous for doing a lot of running backs by committee. And you may see one running back that goes off and you're like, whoa, this running back, he's going to be awesome. And then you may never see him again. Always going with the hot hand, the fresh guy. Running backs take a beating. And the running back by committee, when you have Royce Freeman and Ezekiel Elliott, who are older backs and injuries happen, but then you have a Deuce Vaughn, who's a much smaller back. When you have a running back nicked up, you don't have to keep using him. You just put him on the shelf and bring in another one, right? Bring one out of the stable and keep on running. That is a smart approach. I wish they would have made this announcement a few months ago, because the Cowboys and the Cowboys and Jerry Jones have gotten a lot of heat for, okay, they didn't go after Henry or any of the other big name, Saquon Barkley, big name running backs. And the Cowboys took a lot of heat by that. And it would have been smart for them to say, listen, this year, our approach to the running game is we're focusing on a running back by committee system where we're going to go with who's the hot hand, who's the fresh legs, who's the healthiest. That would make sense. And it would have kind of cut down on how many bad stories the Cowboys have received. And we all know there has been so many from contract situations, which they're just littered with contract situations. But running back is one of those positions that have been devalued over the years. But the value of a running back has been devalued over the years. No one wants to pay the money, but the value of a running back on the field is just as valuable as it always been. The key is having a healthy running back and having a number of them. And so I love the fact that they're going to go with a committee. So, and I kind of see that Ezekiel Elliott's going to be that short yardage back. He's not going to be out there a ton. He's going to be on a goal line situation, short situations. I could see Royce being in that third down. That's that third not Royce Freeman, but Deuce Vaughn being that third down back, where Deuce is incredibly fast, really shifty, small, can hide behind the offensive line, but can bounce out wide to catch a screen and catch passes out of the backfield. It's a good move. I like this move, especially if you don't have one running back. You know, you don't want to settle on, okay, we don't really have a great running backs, but we're going to feed this other guy. It's better to feed 4 or 5 other guys and keep whoever is fresh, whoever is ready, who's ready to go. Have that guy, keep just shuffling in running back. So I do think this is a smart move on the Cowboys side. And, and if something happens in a situation where Deuce Vaughn, let's say Deuce Vaughn, a young, very talented running back, let's say he takes off. In a system like this, you can have a situation where if a running back takes off and starts doing well, it's easy to shift from a running back by committee to shifting to featuring a running back. It's a lot harder to go from, hey, we're going to feature Ezekiel Elliott, and then midway through it's like, hey, we haven't seen Ezekiel, and now you got to answer a lot of questions. I like the concept of starting with a committee. We got 5 running backs that we're going to use. But if by week 4, if you're not seeing Ezekiel Elliott, it's not a big deal, because it's like, okay, the running back committee, you may see Ezekiel next week. But if it's like game 1, we're Ezekiel Elliott, we're feeding Zeke, but he's not doing well, then it's like, what's going on with Zeke? Is he going to get benched? It becomes a locker room distraction, where by running back committee, it definitely cuts down on the distractions. And God knows, the Cowboys have way too many distractions as it is. Just being a Cowboy is a distraction. The minute you put that star on the helmet, it's a distraction. Not to mention, what are they going to do about Dak? I think Dak is done in Dallas. This is Dak's last year. This is his last dance. CeeDee Lamb's going to get his contract, I think, at the end of this year. I think Micah Parsons going to get his contract. But I think these are steps that the Cowboys are preparing for. It feels like life after Dak. So
for me, as bit of an outsider, running back by committee makes a lot of sense. It can cut down on injuries. But so is this a strategy that has worked well in other places? It doesn't sound like it's necessarily new, but they haven't done it since the 80s. And
well, the Cowboys have always focused on having that workhorse back. You know, we're going to turn it around in the 70s and 80s. We're going to turn it around. We're going to hand it to Tony Dorsett and going to keep feeding Dorsett, and he's going to get 1,200, 1,300 yards every year. Troy Hambrook, he's going to be the next guy. We're going to go with, we got Emmitt Smith. He's going to be the guy. Dallas has always been a kind of use the workhorse running back. Find that best running back, and we're going to use him, and we're going to depend on him. And that model has worked, but there has been a number of teams over the years, and I'm using New England as that example, where they've used a full committee. I remember Carolina for a period of time, and Tampa Bay. They had two guys where they had the power runner and the shifty guy. And a lot of teams will use two running backs as their system. So all of them, they all have pluses. I like this best for the Cowboys if you don't have the two system work nice when you have Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. But you don't have that anymore. You have Ezekiel Elliott, but he's not the same guy. Being able to go with who is the healthiest, change of pace. You can't prepare for a different type of runner. You don't know which one they're going to use. It gives them kind of an advantage. Also, who's going to be healthy. I think it's a good move. If you don't have that feature back, I prefer a running back by committee.
All right. Well, it makes a lot of sense. We will see how this season goes and if they continue to use this strategy in the future. We're going to go ahead and take our next break of the podcast. When we come back, we'll be talking about a recent statement by Colin Cowherd that the USC should end its rivalry game with Notre Dame. You are tuned into the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.